from Timmins. I work for Equal Experts, and I'm running up the office in Australia that's looking to set up Equal Experts over in Asia Pacific. I've been working in software development or in the industry for around 18 years now. Most of my experience is in scaling Agile delivery and putting out Agile principles across many different industries and different types of things. So one of the things I actually want to talk to you about today is with development with the sun, but how actually we're using modern Agile principles to make that work on a specific case study that we're doing. So, nothing actually beats being in a room together, to have the ability to be in the same space, to be able to have physical cards that you can touch and feel what it is that you're doing, to even be able to swivel your chair around and to talk to people behind you and understand what it is you're working on and collaborate together really well. Even just to be able to touch a physical board and move that work along and just to get together to be able to actually solve a problem. But in this day and age, organizations are just not able to do that. It is a small world, but it's also a big one. And people want to be able to be using distributed delivery wherever they are. So we've got big corporations. They often say they do this for cost. To be perfectly honest, I think it's a false economy at times. Startups may do this to get things moving. But more common than anything, the reason I see companies do this is because of skills, and to be able to get skills from all over the world to try and get things working together. So whatever that reason of why the decision is made to actually use distributed delivery, we need to have a way to be able to make that work better as organizations together. So what we want to do today is tell you this story.
Hey, Paul. Thanks for being here on time. Paul? Hey, Paul, can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hey, guys.
Oh, hey, Tyler.
Sorry I'm late. Having a hard time connecting.
1 second. Paul's having a sound issue.
I can't hear you. Try adjusting your output settings. Can you hear me? It's the gear icon.
Tyler, are you on hotel Wi-Fi?
Yeah, why? Never mind, I got it. I just had to change a few settings.
Great. Maybe we can get started then. Oh, great.
I think your mic is picking up your speakers. My mic?
Do you have headphones?
Do you want me to put them on?
No, I want you to smell them. No, I want you to put them on. Hey, Beth.
Hey, everyone. Sorry I'm late. I had to download a new version of the platform.
You should plan extra time for the updates. There's pretty much one every time.
Sounds like someone just joined.
Hey guys, it's John. I had to call in. I'm stuck in traffic. Have I missed anything yet?
No. It would have been nice for you to join the rest of us, but we'll see you when you get home. All right. Well, everyone is here finally. Tyler, do you have that financial report?
Well, it's been the last few weeks updating our books, and I got some great news for you. Schedule from this point last year. We had a great Q1.
We lost Tyler, I think.
Am I frozen?
Hey, Trip, I think we lost Tyler.
Yeah, I know. We lost Tyler.
Hey guys, it sounded like Tyler was cutting out.
No, John. All right. While we wait on Tyler, why don't we go over all of the reports from Beth, are you with us?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, everyone, I know some of you have to leave soon, but I just wanted to go over a couple of the queries before. Okay, excuse me. My wife's out of town this week. Daddy's, I'm so sorry. Okay, you just spilt grape juice on the carpet. Daddy's in a meeting. Tyler, can you go over the numbers one more time, please?
I thought Beth had an adjustment. Hey, Beth?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, that's my iTunes sign.
Hey guys, hang on. I'm gonna join in. Hey, what platform are you guys on? Skype? FaceTime?
It's in the invite.
Oh, never mind. I see it. It's right there in the invite.
Okay, now I can see everybody.
Let's reschedule and let's just do a regular old conference call, okay? Paul, can you have David send out the 9-digit passcode?
I heard you.
Yeah, he's been here the whole time.
All right, everybody. I'll see you later.
So, how many of you recognise things from that? I'm definitely putting my hand up here. There's even some people in this room that I recognise doing some of those things with. So, that is some of the consequences of actually working in a distributed delivery team. You end up with conference calls and meetings which just end up as frustrating but also as hilarious as that. So what I want to do is try and talk you through a case study of what it is that we're working on with a particular client at the moment and how we're using follow the sun method for that client and helping to get over some of those problems that we're facing. So the client that we're working on is called Zinger. Zinger is building an independent 100% digital neobank for Australians. It's designed for mobile, but it's supposed to be made for people. So just a bit of a disclaimer there. They are not yet a bank, but they are working with regulators in Australia to be. And that's only in case any of these videos go out to the Australian regulators so that they can see I've said that. So what is the difference between a neobank and an old bank? So we've got the traditional bank with their branches and the physical banks that you've got there. The neobank world is actually where everything is done in the app. There are no branches. Branches don't exist for people to use. Everything is done via your mobile and mobile device. But actually, it's taking it that step further, because that kind of smells to me that I'm saying it's a digital bank, when actually it's not. It's more than that. So at the moment, a lot of the banks that we use, they focus a lot on the maths within that, not really the behaviour, while most of the money that we have is about actually the behaviours that we have with money, not really the maths. So if you're wondering who Andrew is one of the customers of Zinger. And this is kind of what made him want to join it. So how many of you actually like money? What? How many of you actually like your bank? Yeah, thought so. Yeah, so what they're trying to do is to try and get to a position where people actually respect their bank, that the banks are actually looking after them, that they're making sure that they're looking after your money, your pot, so that you feel that you're adequately being cared for. So when I talk about the behaviours here, what I'm meaning is understanding more about what I actually do and what I do with my money. So for example, I eat out a lot, but I also spend a lot of money at the supermarket. So my phone and my bank will know that I eat out a lot because I use the same card for that as I do to actually go to the supermarket. So it being able to give nudges to me to help me direct my better spending. I use Uber a lot, but I've also got a travel pass, which I pay for with my bank. Why can't it help me better spend the money that I'm spending on my travel? I spend a lot of time in the pub on weekends, normally after 10 p.m. And then after 10 p.m., I'm normally spending a lot more on tequila slammers than I am before that. So maybe even just helping me not spend all of my money after a certain time when they know that I'm out in a pub. So just things like that really are what Zinger are about, trying to help use your behaviours to try and help you be more financially aware in what you're doing. So a little less about Zinger itself, but also the reasons why Zinger have gone down the distributed delivery route. They are a startup organisation. They've got a runway of funds, and they need to have apps in place in order to gain more confidence from the market, but also from their investors. At that point, you need to be able to get things up and running quite quickly. So Equal Experts were chosen as their partner because we've worked with some of the people, founders of Zinger before, and we could be trusted to kind of help them do that. But in order to do that and work with them, we didn't really have as much of a presence in Australia at that time, so we needed to use distributed delivery to help them get up and running. And also we're restricted by the time. We had a certain amount of time period or runway of money left in order to get this product out to the market. So how could we most effectively make use of that time? There's a lot of that time when you're all on one site in one location where you're actually asleep or you're at home and you're not actually working. So how can we make use of that time to actually get delivery done a lot more hours? So, and that's kind of why we went to the follow the sun delivery method. There are teams that are so far distributed that you develop when the sun is in your area. It's as simple as that. This means that you then potentially have development teams working around the clock. And there really are times when you are talking to people on the other side of the world whilst you're in your pajamas. And we have had incidents when we've had clients sitting there in their underpants also, just like the video. I mean, as you know more than anything else, that comes with a lot of challenges. But if you can think carefully about the overall delivery and where to sensibly have the delivery people, this can be a massive competitive advantage to you. So in order to do that, we needed to use Agile principles to make that work effectively. But actually, more than that, the modern Agile principles mattered more to what it is that we were doing. So I don't know how many of you know this. Josh Kavitsky's Modern Agile. Have any of you seen this or heard of this before? So it's just taking the original Agile concepts and moving it that step forward. It's not about a set of principles in the same way anymore. It's about trying to follow this kind of rhythm and practice. It's about making sure that we're making people feel safe and that there's a safety involved in the work that we're doing. It's about making sure that we're always delivering value continuously, however we try and do that. It's about making sure we look after our people, making the people awesome, which is our customers, but also the people in the team. And it's about making sure that we can experiment and learn rapidly. So how did we apply these principles in the way that we are doing Follow the Sun delivery? So I'm going to start a little bit with the make safety a prerequisite. So safety is both a human need and it's key to unlocking high performance. You have to actively make safety a prerequisite. By establishing safety, you are engaging in work, and this includes protecting people's time, protecting people's information, your reputation, their money, their health, relationships. So in distributed delivery, there are a number of things that make people feel unsafe. So from Zinger's perspective, we've got psychological safety. Do we feel safe being able to tell the team what we want and will they be truthful to us? Dependability. Can we count on each other to do high quality work in our timeframes? The structure and clarity. Are the team aware of what the company's visions, goals, roles, and execution plans are? What's the meaningful work? Are the team members bought into the ethos of what it is that we're trying to achieve here? And what's the impact of work? Do we fundamentally believe that what we're working actually really matters? I'm going to go through each of those different types. So psychological safety, all about making sure that the actual people themselves feel safe, that they can actually talk to one another, that they feel that they can say what it is that they need to be able to say and not feel like they're being looked down upon or looked in a different way. And we do this in a number of ways. We try and do this in terms of co-locating together as much as we can, and we try and do this by making sure we've got a friendly ethos within the team, allowing people to speak and speak freely about what it is they're concerned without any judgment around what they're doing. And that applies whether you're distributed or whether you're all together. It actually makes no real difference. There's no reason why you can't communicate in that way. So there's also then dependability. So trust is the biggest challenge and also the opportunity for our customers. And this is part of Zinger's philosophy. In order to allow their customers to be able to trust them, they also want to make sure that their partnership feels that same way with equal experts and who they're developing with. So making sure that we have a blameless culture. People have to feel safe to be able to tell you when things are not going well. The only thing that helps is then having those solid interactions between you and working with that partner that you can trust. So having structure and clarity. So the process and tools become more important than you would necessarily have on a team that is co-located, but it's not more important than the interactions that we're doing. So some tools that we would use that are Atlassian, Post-it notes, email, we still use them in the same way, but we just take photographs of Post-it notes instead and just send them through. Two really valuable tools are Zoom, the video you've just seen. Slack is massively important for us. And then our weekly cadence with Zinger itself and backlog sessions, daily catch-ups and questions available on Slack, etc., making yourself available for that. Actually, though, our most valuable tool more than anything is Qantas or any kind of airline to get you guys together. So every 8 to 10 weeks, we try and get parts of the team together in some form or another to make sure we're having that collaboration. We try and coincide that with some form of planning, and we try and do that to make sure that everyone feels comfortable in the same room as one another and can talk to one another. So, I mean, I'm telling you all stuff here which you will know, right? But it applies exactly the same way when we're doing follow the sun method, and it's probably even more important to do that when you're working around the clock. So then we've got meaningful work here. The difficulty here is how the teams come together. They feel that they are working on something meaningful if they're not in front with our client and working that. How do they understand that meaning? How do you buy into that meaning? And how do you help to keep feeling people motivated? So we've had joint planning sessions. We have joint showcases. We have company showcases where we land company showcases on teams at last minute and get them to display what they're doing. It's a joke because we've done that with a team last week. And we share the vision using videos from the CEO and the marketing departments explaining what it is and the meaningful work that we're trying to do to make sure that that is all shared. You really need to get buy-in from the top of that business to make sure that is happening all the way through and that people are not feeling segregated away from that. Then you've got the actual impact of the work. So customer experience at the heart of what they're doing, working early with the customers or founding just to design the bank in the first place. Knowing that the work is meaningful is one thing, but actually knowing that the work done has had an impact on customers is actually quite different. Being involved in support as well as build and knowing the impact of both a positive and a negative is key to that. So one thing I would never want to do when deciding to split the teams is have a development team in one place and have a support function in another. For me, that's totally counterintuitive. I want to make sure that the people who are building this are also the ones supporting it so they can feel the impact of things that are happening. So that all of those things come together, help teams feel safe, feel like they are grounded and they've got the support of the customer. So that's just one part of it. The next thing we've got is actually delivering value continuously. Anything that isn't delivered isn't helping anyone become more awesome or safe. In modern Agile, we ask ourselves, how could valuable work be delivered faster? Delivering value continuously requires us to divide large amounts of valuable work into smaller pieces that can be delivered safely rather than later. So I'm going to delve into each of these words separately. I'm going to first focus on the delivering side, and I'm going to look around the value and then also the continuous and how we've done each of those. So can you see the slides here? So I'm just going to talk briefly about what we do. So we have a day starts with Zinger huddles in Sydney. We agree the features and the work that is done in Australia. And we do that actually with a collaboration of team between Sydney and also Calgary on the other side of the world. It's an 18-hour time difference. Sydney's mornings is Calgary's day before. So from that, you can kind of get the features that they want to work on and the priority of that. And then we work with the teams in India to define the services that need to help support that to build those features out. So in India, we have the teams building the services here. They've got a few from our Bangalore team here, and they'll be helping building out those services. We also in India have an app team. So that app team would build the app that would integrate with those services, and then in a close enough time zone to that team to be able to assist with that integration. But they're just one app of that. Then you've got Canada again. So in Canada, we've got the other app channel, which is working very closely with the UX and design, which has already worked with Sydney the night before. So that team then will then build out the app, but build it more from the actual visual and design capability and less so on the integration side. And then within a 24-hour period, by doing that, you've ended up being able to actually have a feature that's been defined in Sydney, services that have been developed, an app that's been integrated to it, and a visual design all around the world coming back to the client the following working day. And using the team and splitting the team in this way allows you to have your value delivered continuously. But what I'm not trying to do is put development in one place, put tests in another, and put BAs in a third. You would actually need to have a mix of those teams wherever they are in the world, so that each one of those teams can then add value. So this comes me on to the value point. What is it that each team is responsible for delivering? How can they individually, but as part of the Follow the Sun ecosystem, still be delivering value to the client? And this is why we want to be very careful about how it is that we are splitting the teams, so that we can make sure those teams are adding value. Lastly, then, you've got continuously. So we can do the delivery and we can make sure it's value, but if it's not going out to production and it's not making sure it's to users, then it's not adding the value in any way. So making sure that we have a continuous delivery pipeline. If you can get continuous deployment, fantastic, even better. So using tools like Kubernetes, Docker, Circle, AWS to help bring that in, using tools like that to make sure we can get a continuous delivery pipeline in place, that's really actually important to us. But it's actually really important, if I come back to the safety side, from Zinger's perspective, to maintain trust with them. They can see on a 24-hour cycle that delivery is happening, and it keeps that trust going with that client. So the next thing I want to look at is about how we make people awesome. So Steve Jobs used to ask his colleagues, what incredible benefits can we give to the customer? Where can we take the customer? In modern Agile, we ask how we can make people in our ecosystem awesome. That includes the people who use, make, buy, sell, and fund the product services, as well as the team itself. We want to learn their context, their pain, what's holding them back, and what they're aspiring to achieve. So making people awesome, as I said, doesn't just apply to our customers, but also to the people that we work with. Giving them the freedom, the delivery, and make decisions irrespective of location. We have to devolve decision-making. We have to allow people, trust people to be able to make those decisions in those times. Because if they can't make the decisions, they're waiting 24 hours for a decision to be made. And that's too much of a time lag. So it's really important about trusting your team members and making sure that they can actually deliver for you. It doesn't matter if they make the wrong decision. You can change that. It matters more if they don't make a decision at all, because that decision may be right. In the same way that you want to give the teams every tool in the book to succeed and give feedback on changes as well that are not working, it's important when teams are away from the action to say thank you and recognize your successes. So we do this even with simple things like a small victories channel. It's something we've got a blog post about on the Equal Experts website. Have a look at it and how we've used it. We bring team members chocolate when they've done some good work. And just simple telling them how awesome that they are and what a great job they are. And even that people that are remote to each other and making sure that they get a pat on the back too and that they're involved in that. So it's all about making sure that people feel that they can talk to one another and that they're awesome. So experiment and learn rapidly. So this comes back to the same old about having ideas, build them, measure them, and learn from them. How can we make sure that we can experiment with what it is that we're doing and make sure that we can build very quickly? Using this model in the model that we're using helps us to be able to do exactly that. We also need to be conscious of the fact that we still need to plan. We can't keep going around this cycle and not having an idea of the direction where we're going. But our plan here is a runway. So being so far apart, we need to be clear about what it is that we're going into the same direction for. We need to know what steps we're taking on that as well. but there's an end to a runway, and you have to have that plane lift off before you get to it. So how do we make sure, using the continuous delivery, that that plane is lifting off, and that people who are driving that plane feel safe to do so? So lastly, we've got about closing up that feedback loop. So with us, teams with retrospectives, where we do things over Zoom, where we do live demos to our stakeholders, and with as much as possible getting together and meeting up. So you still need to be together. I'm never going to say to a team that a team distributed is going to be better than a team co-located. So however much you can get teams together, it is really important. And companies should definitely be investing in that travel budget to get teams together, to be moving, taking teams to Sydney, bringing teams from Sydney here so that we can co-locate and get work done together. So this kind of takes us around that cycle of that modern agile loop. But actually for me, it all ties back to that base principle of making safety a prerequisite. So you need to have continuous delivery to be safe. But you need to make people feel awesome to feel safe. But you need to experiment and learn rapidly to actually stay safe. And if you have distributed delivery and needs, and you need to put the emphasis on really making safety that prerequisite in terms of the way that you deliver. Thank you. Any questions?
There was a slide with a whole load of people in it. I was just wondering if all of them are in that one. Are they all in your team?
Yes, all of them apart from the baby.
Oh,
well,
okay.
Although there may be one or two of them. But yes, all of them are in our team, yes. So we've got Van Lee, who's one of our customer innovation directors at the top. Dan, who's the UX, he's in Calgary. Eric, the CEO of the business. Peter, and one of our architects here. And Phil. So Phil was based out in London and, worked with us. Didn't have any photos of the team here. I would have put you on there as well. And you're definitely not the babies. Any other questions?
Just a question, like for a small startup, how you manage stand-ups and what do you give priority for? Is it daily video calling or stand-ups?
So we definitely do video calling, but over stand-up method. So we do it and we use Jira board to be able to do a remote board, but apply the same stand-up method that we would in a co-located team. Stand-ups are difficult when all of you around the world, so we end up having multiple stand-ups in a day. You will end up meeting with the people that are with you either side. So quite often you'll have a stand-up in the morning, or let me take Sydney for example. They'll have a stand-up in the morning that is working with the team in Calgary from before, ironing out those features and what that is, and they'll have a stand-up in the evening where they're working with the team in Pune and Bangalore here. And then the same here, they'll have a stand-up here. The worst time difference is between Pune, Bangalore and Calgary, because there's never quite the same hours in the day where you can actually be working, so that is probably the hardest one. If we could move Calgary more towards UK, I think that would be a little bit easier. Can we just pick up the mountains and snow and drop it?